All right, y'all. So it's been a minute since I've last talked about Jake Paul. And if y'all remember, this was probably like 3-4 months ago. I made a video talking about Jake Paul because he had posted a video on YouTube where he was praying, but he was completely just mocking what it means to pray. And I posted a video. I talked about it, all that kind of stuff. Now, Jake Paul is going to be fighting on Sunday. Very big fight. He's fighting against Tommy Fury. And I'll be honest with y'all. I've seen every one of Jake Paul's fights. Now, you might be wondering why. Well, and look, this is not very, loving or Christian-like, but I'm just going to be honest with y'all. A part of me just really wants to see Jake Paul get beat up. I'm not going to lie. And I'm sure there's a lot of y'all who feel that exact same way. And I think that's why Jake Paul has been so successful in promoting his fights, because there's a lot of people that just want to see him, get beat up. And I happen to be one of them. So, hey, it is what it is. But check it out. Jake Paul has never lost a boxing match up until this point. Now, he hasn't been boxing for very long. I think he's maybe had maybe 4 or 5 fights, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. But he's won every single one of his fights. This is supposed to be his biggest fight because now he's fighting an actual pro boxer, Tyson Fury's little brother. So the heavyweight champion of the world has a little brother or a half brother, and now he's fighting Jake Paul. So I want to have a conversation because I've seen some things about Jake Paul and how he prepares for his fights. And I recently saw an interview. Well, not an interview. I recently saw a video that Jake Paul posted. And I want to show it to you because he's talking about some very dark and demonic stuff. And I want to show you exactly, kind of what he said and kind of have a conversation and break this down. Before I do so, you remember how last video I was talking about how I don't necessarily enjoy always talking about the dark and the demonic and all the negative stuff that's happening in the world. Well, I used to make videos on this same channel just talking about the Bible. So just going over scripture and kind of giving my, commentary and understanding of different verses and stuff like that. But just to be completely honest with y'all, I started making these types of videos and they just started to do very well. So I just continued to make these kind of videos. And yes, I do enjoy making these kind of videos, but there is a part of me that wants to just focus on, just reading the Bible and just kind of giving some encouragement. So if y'all would be interested in just, me reading the Bible, giving encouragement, kind of going through my interpretation of the scriptures, I created a new channel. The link is down below in the description. And this is going to be a big ask, but if I could please ask y'all to go subscribe. The link is down below in the description to the channel that I just made, my new channel. If we can get 10,000 subscribers, that would be incredible. I know y'all can do that. And I'm going to be posting a video today actually on that channel as well. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, let's get into this video right here. So like I said, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, they have a huge fight on Sunday. Jake Paul posted this video as a final warning to Tommy Fury, but take a listen to exactly what he says. Because like I said, I believe that it's very dark. It's very demonic. It's very misleading. And I want to break this down completely. And also give some additional commentary because, y'all may not know this, but before I was a Christian, I dabbled a lot in the law of attraction. I dabbled a lot in that new age type of stuff. So this is a familiar conversation to me, and I kind of want to give you some additional feedback from my personal experience as well. But let's get into this video. There is some, language in this video. I'm going to try to make sure I, can get it out. But just so you know. Anyway, let's just get into it. I'm talking too much.
Tommy, I hope you've enjoyed these last few moments of your career. This is it. You're going to be retired from boxing after this. You're going to be disowned by your family. You're going to go back to your mother's maiden name. There's nothing else that can save you. It is just me and you, mano a mano. Your brother's not in the ring anymore with you. Your dad's not in the ring with you anymore. Molly's not in the ring with you anymore. Bambi isn't in the ring with you anymore. So all that about having a child and fighting for her. All that when I'm coming to take decapitate you. I'm a mean, angry person deep down. I'm gonna take out all of it on your There's nothing you could do to I'm built different. I want this more than you. I have more of a why. I'm more tapped in. I'm more emotionally intelligent. I'm more spiritually connected. I've worked harder every single day, in and out. I have a better team. I have a better support system. And guess what?
Listen.
Me winning this fight is for the higher benevolent good of the universe. And so it's not just me in the ring. It's all of my guidance. It's all of my ancestors. It's all of my spiritual helpers. It's all of the people protecting me. And together we are going 4 rounds, and then you.
Okay. How did I do on the bleeps? The bleeps were on point. Hey, so he said me winning this fight is, he said, what do you say, for the benevolent good of the universe? Which absolutely sounds ridiculous. No matter what you believe in. If you believe in Jesus or not, or the law of attraction or the universe, the fact that he said that him winning a boxing match is for the good of the universe is absolutely insane. Then he went on to say, all my ancestors are behind me. The universe is behind me. All those spirits are behind me, and they're all going to help me win this boxing match. So you're not just fighting against me, but you're fighting against all of us. And, you know, to some people, that might not sound necessarily bad. That might not sound necessarily, you know, demonic. But obviously, if you're a Christian, if you believe in Jesus, then you know that anytime that you're trying to do something, anytime you're trying to achieve something, obtain something, get something, apart from God, then you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. Because if you're not doing it in relationship with God, then what are you doing it in relationship with? You can't serve two masters. You can't serve God and you can't serve the world. Now, clearly, Jake Paul is not a Christian. I don't think he ever said that he was a Christian. I don't think he ever said that he believed in Jesus or anything like that. But I think there's a lot of people, specifically there's a lot of young children who, for whatever reason, they see, well, I know the reason. There's a lot of young children who see Jake Paul's lifestyle. They see the cars, they see his girlfriend, they see his friends, they see the houses, they see the money, they see the fact that he's a professional athlete now. And so many young kids, they want to have those same things. And they idolize Jake Paul. And they look at Jake Paul and they want to be just like Jake Paul when they grow up. And you can't blame the kids. They're just kids. They don't know any better, right? But the thing about this type of conversation is that you're exposing your audience to demonic practices that ultimately are going to lead them further and further away from God. Now, some people, myself, like I said, before I was a Christian, before I knew Jesus, I would dabble quite a bit into the law of attraction. There's a book that I'm going to show you in a second that I used to read like almost every day, teaching about how to manifest things, teaching about how to get certain things. And from that experience, I was ultimately, you know, by the grace of God, led to Christ through friends that I had in my life, through people that were around me. I was ultimately led to Christ, but that might not be the same experience for everyone who is exposed to this. A lot of people get exposed to this type of teaching and they never get out of it. And that's what concerns me so much about it, because people see the success, people see Jake Paul winning and making money and doing all this kind of stuff. And then when they see him attribute it to his ancestors, and they see him give credit to the universe, and they see him give credit to all these other things that are not Jesus Christ, then that could be extremely misleading. Because here's the thing. Do I want everyone to know Jesus? Absolutely. That's my heart. I desire for everyone to know Jesus because I know how good he is. But the fact of the matter is not everyone is going to know Jesus, unfortunately. But one thing we can all agree on is that none of us are going to make it out of this earth alive. You're not going to make it out of this earth alive. Now, You might be using the law of attraction. You might be engaged in this new age activity right now, and it might be working for you. Like I'm gonna keep it a buck. When I was, using this law of attraction, and I used to read this book right here called The Secret. I used to read this book almost every day before I was a Christian. Like this book was like my Bible before I knew what the Bible was even truly about. I would read this book almost every day. And I'll be honest with you, it did work to a certain extent. It did get me out of bed in the morning. It did give me a sense of motivation. It did give me a sense of almost like a sense of like purpose, because it forced me to write down my goals and write down my dreams and always have this positive mindset. And it did work. It helped me to a certain extent. But ultimately, something that I realized about The Secret, and something that I realized about all of this new age teaching, this yoga, meditation, all this breathing work, stuff like that, it's all very selfish. It's all very me, 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 me. What can I obtain? What can I get? What can I produce here on this earth? And like I said, no matter how much you might be producing through using the law of attraction, through manifesting, through praying to your ancestors, whatever that means, even if that's working and you're successful, those things have no eternal significance. There is no eternal significance in using the law of attraction, in using manifestations to obtain worldly success. The only gift, the only reward that you will ever experience is the actual success that you have here on this earth. But your soul is not saved. So ultimately, what does it matter? What does it matter? But this is a guy that I came across today, because I don't know if y'all noticed this. If y'all, maybe you watched Jake Paul's last fights, maybe you don't. But during his last fights, he always does this like weird, like breathing type of like exercise thing. And it almost looks like a weird, like ritual. And I don't know, this look crazy. He just blowing hot breath in this dude's face. So I don't know. He always be doing this stuff, right? And he calls it, his manifestations, his mantras, his affirmations, his meditation and stuff like that. And he attributes a lot of his success to this type of stuff. Now, this guy, I think his name's like Lucas Mack or something like that. Apparently he works with like a lot of celebrities, and he works with a lot of different people, teaching them how to become more spiritual, teaching them how to, be the best version of themselves and connect more with the universe and connect more with their true being and all that type of language, right? I thought this was very interesting. He posted this video. He said, "Become a co-creator of life." Take a listen to what he had to say in this video. I think it's very interesting. And it goes to show how these people view what it is that they're practicing. It's much more than just, I'm going to say these affirmations. I'm going to say that I am strong, I am powerful, I am successful, I can manifest whatever. It's much more than that. A lot of these people actually think that there's some type of creator, that there's some type of, divine being themselves. And that's a lot of the core teaching of what New Age spirituality is. But take a listen to what this dude had to say.
Creator, you are the director of your
Hold
own.
on, let me start it over.
You are the co-creator, you are the director of your own movie, and you are the main character. But that's a choice to step out of your conditioning, out of your internal programs, and to own what you actually want, because many of us are dimming our shine. We're holding ourselves back because of those internal narratives, and the work is about rewriting those programs and claiming what you actually want. We have to give ourselves permission to question everything, question our own beliefs, question what am I still holding on to that is no longer in resonance and is no longer serving me and is actually getting in the way of what I And I think that takes a lot of courage, because it's really about stepping outside of the comfort zone and giving ourselves permission to step into the unknown, which can be extremely scary because it means not having it all figured out, letting go of control. When you step into being a co-creator, there's an element of really having to focus on what you can control, and that's your part, and then letting go of what you can't control. And that's God's part. That is one of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves and also the people around us, because we start to fucking authenticity. We start to own who we are and what we want, and we're not afraid to shine, even if it means making other people uncomfortable, which it will.
All right, I didn't catch that last F-bomb, but hopefully I get a break on that. I apologize. But you see what this dude's saying, right? And, it's so manipulative. And remember, this is a dude that Jake Paul works with. I don't know if he still works with him, but just for his last fight against Anderson Silva, he was working with this guy. But you see how manipulative it actually is. You see how he brings in the conversation of God and how, we have our own part in this creation where we're co-creators, and we have a certain element that we have to worry about and that we have to create and manifest. But then there's a certain element that God is responsible for. And I think some people, you might listen to that, and some people who might not know Jesus, you might think that sounds okay. You might think that where's the harm in that type of teaching? Well, the harm in that type of teaching is, who gets the glory? Who gets the glory? Do we get the glory, or does God get the glory? Or are we splitting the glory? So if we're co-creators, then what? We're splitting the glory? So God gets half the glory, we get half the glory? That doesn't make any sense. God alone is worthy to be praised. God alone deserves all the glory. And a lot of these people, and I always say this, everyone has a spiritual need. We all have a spiritual need inside of us. I think at some point in our life, we're all going to be led to want to know and want to find out how we can fulfill this spiritual need that we have inside of us. For some people, they find Jesus, they find the truth. Other people, they find other religions. Other people, they find, manifestations and this new age law of attraction stuff. But ultimately, we all have a need spiritually, and we're all looking to fill that void. But the problem is, sometimes we fill that void with the incorrect pieces. And although it might feel good temporarily, in the long run, those things have no eternal significance. And remember what the Bible said. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. This is the creation of, the earth. It says, "Then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us." This dude was talking about how we are the co-creator. But God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. You see, I was listening to a sermon this morning, and the pastor was talking about what it means to be made in God's image. And the pastor was talking about, why do we create images? Like a statue, for example. There's this statue. I'm sorry, I didn't even know I didn't have the verse on the screen this whole time. But there's this statue, for example. I think this is outside of the Lakers arena. I think it's still there. It might be taken down now, but I think it's still there. But this is Magic Johnson. He has a statue on the right-hand side outside of the Lakers arena. And my brain always goes to like sports analogies because I was a huge sports fan growing up. I still am, but not as much as I used to be. But look at this statue. This is a huge statue. I mean, this dude standing next to this statue, I don't know, maybe what, 5'5" something, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11". This statue just towers over him. But the pastor was saying, why do we make statues like this? Well, as human beings, we make these images, we make these statues, we make these things because we want to remember certain qualities of that individual. We want to remember certain positive qualities of that individual. And we want to show that to other people as well. So when it says, let us make human beings in our own image to be like us, it's not that God said, let us make human beings to be gods, to be the co-creator, because the fact of the matter is, God said, let us make human beings. God didn't say, let us, let us bring the humans to help us make them. Like, no. God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. So what does it mean to be made in God's image? Well, it means that we have to be almost like a mirror, a representation of the attributes of God, his love, his kindness, his mercy. We have to be walking statues in a sense to mirror all the qualities of God to other people. Not so that we can get the glory, not so that we can have success, not so that we can fulfill ourselves necessarily, but so that we can be, number one, a vessel for God's kingdom, but also so that we can bring other people into a closer relationship with God. You see, the problem with this book that I used to read every single day before I was a Christian, the problem with this book is that it's all centered around me and what I can get and what I can do. But the Bible is the complete opposite. The Bible is centered around how we can serve other people. Jesus literally laid his life down in order to save us. Jesus was fully man and fully God. But let's not forget, Jesus was fully man, which means that when Jesus was walking this earth, he experienced every temptation that we have ever experienced. And guess what? He never folded. He never compromised himself. He never indulged. He never gave in to any one of those temptations. You know why? Because if he would have done that, then he would not have been the perfect atonement for our sins. He would not have been the perfect sacrifice. Humanity was literally on his shoulders, and one mistake essentially could have ruined that all. But the reason he endured, the reason he fought past all those temptations is because he had a mission. And that mission wasn't centered around himself, but it was centered around all of us. And that's the massive difference. There's a lot of differences, but one of the biggest differences that I can think of between this new age law of attraction stuff as opposed to the Bible is that the Bible is the most unselfish book in all of history. It teaches what true humility actually is. It teaches what it means to actually serve one another, what it actually means to love your neighbor. Whereas all these other things, they simply teach what it means to receive and get what you want, and for lack of better words, screw everybody else, right? But I want to show you this real quick. This was a testimony. I started watching a little bit of this testimony. I didn't finish it because I wanted to save it for this video because I felt like it was, a good testimony to share in this video. I don't know who this is. It says Kiki Pitg. I don't know who that is, but this is her testimony. So take a listen because I think it's very interesting.
So I was born and raised in the church, and by the time I got to high school, I had stopped going to church.
I know the volume's kind of low. I'm sorry. I'm trying to turn it up as much as I can.
And by the time I got to college, I was practicing ancient spirituality or new age spirituality. And I was doing that for maybe 9 or 10 years. So I learned a lot, knew a lot, grew a lot, saw a lot, did a lot. Honestly, while I was practicing New Age, I was still trying to incorporate the Bible because of my upbringing. But honestly, God snatched me up out of that and revealed some things to me that I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share my top three. It's a lot more, but I'm gonna just share three. The first thing He revealed to me was how egocentric New Age spirituality really is, compared to the Bible, which is the epitome of teaching the utmost humility. Now, whether or not people who believe in the Bible actually practice this humility in the world is beside the point, but that doesn't take away from what the Bible actually teaches. If you ask New Age spiritualists why they don't believe in the Bible, I'm 99% sure that they will give you an answer that's ego-centered. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It has to add up to me. It has to be something that I agree with. That's ego. New Age is very, very logical. And that is why a lot of people, including myself, were so enticed by it, because it made sense. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. But then I realized spirituality is not supposed to be logical. That's counterproductive to what spirituality actually is or should be. Spirituality should be humility. Spirituality is miraculous, and to be miraculous, it must out or overstand anything that the human mind can comprehend. And that is why the Bible teaches us to walk by faith and not by sight, because things of the spirit are not meant to make sense to the human mind. Second thing is, New Age spirituality encourages you to gain this knowledge, to free yourself, to be free, and to know your power. If you make Christian content, you done got these comments. I hope you wake up to your power. I hope you release yourself from the shackles of religion. First of all, we don't practice religion, we practice relationship. But anyway, it reminded me of Satan tempting Eve in the garden with this knowledge, telling her that her eyes will be open and she'll be able to know what God knows. Then there's the whole we are God's thing. Yet New Age spirituality teaches you to outsource all of these powers. When I say outsource, I mean you have to use so many things to get the peace and the love and the prosperity that God alone provides. Crystals, stones, zodiac, moon ritual, tarot cards, psychics, physics, ancestors, like, and, I was doing all these things, healing myself, becoming a better person. So of course I would have no motivation for thinking that it was a bad thing. But when people say the devil doesn't come dressed in red with horns, it means he doesn't show up and introduce himself. He doesn't wear a name tag. We have to think, as human beings, we have a very high amount of intelligence. Now, whether certain people choose to use their intelligence is not the point, but we are genuinely, naturally born with this level of intelligence. So for Satan to be the king of this world, his intelligence would have to supersede ours. The Bible describes the serpent as being the craftiest, Satan as prowling around like a lion. Most importantly, 2 Corinthians 11 says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And what looks or feels right isn't always of God. Sometimes it's just a trap. There's a one thing to be a good person, and then there's another thing to live for God. That takes it to another level that people don't want to address. Living for God and striving for biblical humility is the deepest form of spirituality.
Wow.
I realized that.
She's spitting. I just realized what her name is Keep It G. I'm sorry. So that's her name, if y'all want to give her a follow or something like that. But anyway, she's spitting, and that's facts. Because like she said, and going back to this Jake Paul thing, like she said, when I was practicing this type of stuff, it did work to a certain extent. I did feel like I was improving. I did feel like, there was a part of me that was achieving certain things and I was growing. But, it also increased my anxiety. And I've always been a very anxious person naturally. I've always struggled with anxiety and depression. Naturally, when I was practicing, this spirituality, this new age type of stuff, meditation and mantras and manifestation and stuff like that. When I was practicing that, it helped my anxiety for a little bit, but ultimately it made me more anxious because I felt like it was all on me. I felt like everything was up to me. It increased my depression actually, because then I started to realize, bro, I don't know anything. I don't know how the wind is moving right now. I don't know how there's air in my lungs. I don't know how I'm opening my mouth and words are coming out. I don't know how I woke up this morning. But yet all this new age spirituality stuff is all teaching me that I'm in control, that I'm in charge. But yet I don't know anything. So it actually increased my anxiety. It increased my depression. And, you know, thankfully, by the grace of God, there was people in my life, specifically my best friend now, Elliot, who during that time in my life introduced me to Jesus. And it was very simple. All he said was, you know, Jesus loves you. And, you know, when he said it to me, I had heard people say that to me before, but in that moment where he said it to me in that time of my life, it just hit me differently. And I really understood, wow, there actually is a God who is in control of all of this. I'm over here trying to play God, like act like I'm God in my own life, but understanding and coming to the realization of the truth that there is a God who is in control and that he wants to have a relationship with me. That was the best news I've ever heard in my life. And that relieved so much of my stress, so much of my anxiety, so much of my depression. And it allowed me to actually get to know God and be open to knowing God for the first time in my life. So, you know, going back to this Jake Paul situation, him talking about he's getting power from his ancestors and stuff like that, that's all demonic. It's all demonic stuff. That's all demonic. You're not praying to your ancestors, you're praying to demons. If you're not giving God the glory, then you're giving Satan the glory. And that is what it is. And he might very well win this fight on Sunday. He might very well win. But what eternal significance do any of these things have here on earth if we're not doing it to glorify God? Because ultimately, like I said, we're all going to pass away at some point, and we're all going to face judgment. Did you know Jesus? Do you believe in him? Do you have your faith in him? Because that's the only thing that's going to get you into heaven. The money, the cars, the clothes, the women, the lifestyle, the success, the fame, the clout, none of that's going to matter. None of that's going to matter. So let me know what you think about this video. The link to my new channel is going to be linked down below in the description if you want to subscribe. Once again, I'm going to be doing more like Bible type of, I don't want to call it Bible study, but I'm just going to be talking more about the Bible, about my experience, about just really encouragement, I guess would be a better word for it. So if y'all want to subscribe, the link is down below in the description. All right, I'm out.